Is Zlatan a Milan legend? You could argue that he's a Milan legend in the sense that he helped them win the Scudetto, their last Scudetto before recently. And then he helped them win again after, 10 years or whatever it was, whatever the gap was. Let's start a debate here because we all know the Milan legends, right? Well, there's one guy currently in the management. He's a legend in his own mind, and for all of us too, right? He's a world football legend. But is Zlatan Ibrahimovic a Milan legend? Question came up on Reddit from Dirk Dig 79 says, I'm not a Milan fan, but I've been following them a lot of the Discord since Maldini was disgracefully sacked and Zlatan was installed as the Yanks' yes man to appease the supporters superficially. But it had me wondering, that aside is really considered a legend up to the Maldini, Baresi, Gullit, even George Weah or Pippo Inzaghi. To me, Zlatan never really had a club in the sense that Juve was his first big one and that he probably would have left his mark, but he jumped ship and then went to Inter of all clubs, and that's where you remember him spending his peak years. Then after that he went to Barca as a flop. He went to Milan for a couple of years, ditched them, back to Juve, blah, blah, blah. So the question he asks is Zlatan a Milan legend? In the sense that he wasn't there long enough, you could say, yeah, no, he's not really a true Milan legend like the Baresis, Maldinis, and so on and so forth. Dominic says, no, he's a football legend, but a Mercato journeyman. Yeah, mercenary journeyman. Yeah, I would agree that he is a football legend, no doubt about it. And I would also disagree that Juve was his first big club. I said Ajax was his first big club. That's me. You could argue that he's a Milan legend in the sense that he helped them win the Scudetto, their last Scudetto before recently. And then he helped them win again after 10 years or whatever it was, whatever the gap was, 2011 and then 2023 or whatever it was, 2022. So because of what he did in that little short span, those two little windows, could be a legend there, right? But I mean, like, I'm with Dominic. I think he's a football legend, and then outside of that, that's it, right? He wasn't with the club any longer. You could say Serie A legend, no doubt about it. Serie A legend, just a world football legend, obviously well known, but like I don't think he's a Milan legend, especially the names that they mentioned in there. They mentioned Maldini, Baresi, Gullit, George Weah, Pippo Inzaghi. The list goes on and on and on. He doesn't crack that. He doesn't crack those guys, right? No, it's a fair question. But as Dominic says, it's a football legend. He's not a team legend. Anthony says, I would say no because Ibra also played for Inter and Juve during his career, and so you can consider him a Milan legend. Well, since you mentioned that, Anthony, what about someone like Andrea Pirlo? He played for Juve, not Inter. Inter wanted him. Did he play for Inter? And Milan. He had a long career with Milan. So, like, could he be... I think he's a Milan legend. Could he be a Juventus legend for what he did in the 3-4 years that he was there? Got him back-to-back Scudettos, two Champions League finals. That's another question. I think that's a more difficult question. Is Pirlo a Milan legend over Zlatan? Zlatan is not, but Pirlo, he played for Juve too. He did some things on other teams.